Has Dua Lipa unlocked the cheat code to ultimate stardom? Or is it the beginning of a foreseen downfall? She's suing Samsung for $15 million, is reportedly banned from an entire country, was accused of stealing 2 different songs, and allegedly cornered Gal Gadot in a bathroom at the Met Gala. Her response to all of it was to get engaged to a man she allegedly stole from another woman at dinner. Unbothered doesn't even cover it. Recently, the world learned that Dua Lipa is suing Samsung Electronics for $15 million in a California federal court. The claim is straightforward and fairly damning. Samsung printed a photograph of her on television packaging, the actual boxes used to sell TVs in American stores, without her permission, without a license, and without a conversation. The photo was taken backstage at the 2024 Austin City Limits Music Festival. Her team owns the rights. Samsung received a cease and desist. They kept using it. Civil litigation attorney Trey Lavelle told ABC News the ignored cease and desist is a significant problem for Samsung. It establishes willful infringement, which triggers additional damages beyond the base claim. Evidence submitted includes a fan comment that reads, "I wasn't even planning on buying a TV, but I saw the box, so I decided to get it." One fan comment, submitted as legal evidence, against one of the largest technology companies on Earth. Samsung's response pointed the finger at a third-party content partner, their free streaming service Samsung TV Plus, claiming the image was provided by that partner with explicit assurance that permission had been secured. A $1 trillion company, apparently undone by a contractor they trusted to do their homework. Samsung isn't even the first time Dua's name ended up in litigation. In 2022, 2 separate acts sued her over levitating in the same month, a Florida reggae band and 2 veteran disco songwriters, both claiming melody theft on a song that had already spent 77 weeks on the Billboard Hot 100. Both cases were dismissed. The song outlasted all of them. While all of this was going on, Dua's personal life was generating its own kind of case file. That brings us to Callum Turner. Her fiancé, actor linked by fans to the James Bond franchise, was, according to a woman identifying herself as his ex-girlfriend on a podcast, in a relationship with her right up until the moment he met Dua. She opened up about a breakup involving a British actor she didn't name. She described a man who told her repeatedly he would never date a famous person, would never attend the Met Gala, would never let himself be photographed by paparazzi. Then she added the detail that stopped the internet cold. He met his current partner, she said, while they were out at dinner together in London. The woman sat next to them at the same restaurant. Dua confirmed in a Vogue interview that she first met Callum at the River Cafe in London. He was out with friends. They were introduced by the restaurant owner. Victoria's version and Dua's version are not incompatible. They just tell the story from different seats at the table. Now here's where Dua Lipa becomes a different kind of story entirely. While the lawsuits were running and the Callum Turner gossip was circulating, she became one of the only A-list mainstream pop stars on Earth to consistently and publicly advocate for Palestinian civilians. She signed the open letter to President Biden calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. She was among the artists demanding the British government end arms supply to Israel. When Israel attacked Rafah in 2024, she spoke out directly and took the backlash that followed without flinching, told Radio Times, "It's always going to be met with backlash. I balance it out because ultimately I feel it's for the greater good, so I'm willing to take that hit." This wasn't even her first geopolitical controversy. In 2020, she posted a map of the Balkans celebrating Albanian heritage, and Serbs called her fascist, launched #CancelDuaLipa, and accused her of inciting ethnic separatism. She issued a statement. The backlash faded. She kept going. Kosovo's president later granted her Kosovan citizenship. Then the Daily Mail ran a story claiming she fired her agent David Levy after he signed a letter trying to get Irish rap group Kneecap removed from Glastonbury over their pro-Palestinian views. The story went everywhere instantly. Her response landed like a scalpel. She confirmed she didn't condone Levy's actions. She confirmed the Mail's framing was, in her exact words, categorically false and deliberately inflammatory, crafted purely for clickbait, clearly designed to fuel online division. WME confirmed Levy had stopped working with her in 2019. The Mail updated its story. She ended her statement with 3 words: "It is always Free Palestine. Her streams went up. Then, a viral post on X claimed she'd been formally banned from entering Israel. Currently, there's no official Israeli government statement, no confirmed entry notice, and no credible reporting. The alleged ban remains completely unverified, but it spread instantly, and the fact that millions of people believed it without question tells you exactly how thoroughly her political positioning had been absorbed into public consciousness. And then, separately, a rumor circulated that she'd cornered Gal Gadot in a Met Gala bathroom and confronted her about her Zionist views. Zero eyewitness accounts. Zero credible sourcing. Gadot last attended the Met in 2019, before any of this existed. The bathroom story is almost certainly fabricated. The fact that it required a formal debunking is a measure of her cultural footprint, not her behavior. The through line across all of it, the meme, the lawsuits, the politics, the tabloids, the viral fabrications, is that Dua Lipa absorbs and ascends. The dancing meme hit in 2018. She went silent, came back with future nostalgia, won a Grammy, and the same internet that made her a punchline called it one of the best pop albums of the decade. The 2014 N-word resurfaced in 2018. She'd muttered it in a cover of Mila J's Smoke, Drink, Break Up. She apologized publicly on X, stated she always stands for social justice, and moved on. The story didn't stick because she didn't let it fester. The levitating lawsuits ran. The song kept charting. The political firestorm ran. The tours sold out. Media scholar observations on Dua Lipa tend to describe her as a performer who achieved total aesthetic control. The Versace campaigns, the Balenciaga appearances, the YSL deals, the Barbie cameo, the Service 95 platform, the Kosovan citizenship. Every piece of her public image feels authored rather than assembled. The controversies don't contradict that image. They've become part of it. So, where Dua Lipa actually came from? Kosovo-Albanian parents who fled conflict, a father who played in a rock band, a mother who rebuilt a life from nothing. The family relocated to Pristina, Kosovo, a slower world with smaller stages. Then, at 15, a decision that reportedly shocked everyone around her. She moved back to London, alone. She rented a room and worked odd jobs during the day. At night, a laptop, no professional microphone, song covers uploaded to YouTube into the void. Teachers had told her her voice wasn't good enough. She uploaded it anyway. That's the girl Samsung is now in litigation with. The one reportedly banned from a country. The one whose political statements get debated in parliaments. She told Radio Times her very existence is somewhat political because of her background and heritage. That line was never just about Palestine. Dua Lipa came into this industry with a smoky voice, a YouTube account, and a background that made neutrality structurally impossible. She got memed into a punchline and came back with a Grammy. She got sued twice over the same song and watched it keep climbing. She was labeled too political by people who've never had to leave their country. She was pulled into a tabloid story about firing an agent and used her response to restate her politics to a global audience. Now, the girl who was told she couldn't sing is the $1 billion companies are afraid to settle with. Either Dua Lipa is the blueprint for how to build an unbreakable career in an era designed to break people, or she's the luckiest woman in pop music, and none of this was a strategy at all. Either way, the girl from Kosovo is winning, and she's just getting started.
Albanian from Kosovo. I lived in Kosovo from the age of 11 to 15. Albanian was my first language, so my roots are really important to me. But I've lived in London for the majority of my life. I was born and raised in London, lived there until I was 11 and then moved back at 15. Being from Kosovo is just such a big part of who I am. To have an Albanian passport, which Albania in itself has a little bit of a different history to Kosovo. My roots being so important, it's also about kind of changing the rhetoric of what people think of Kosovo and Albania, and I don't want when people think about Kosovo to be like, oh, war-torn Kosovo. There's so much more to it. We also do a festival, me and my dad, in Pristina, and that's again about getting people from all over the world to come down and see how different it is to maybe what they expect. Because I know when I was living in Kosovo at 11, you know, none of my favorite artists were coming there. So it was my biggest dream to be able to bring that to the kids there. It's just everything's changing. So it means a lot to have the citizenship in it, and it means a lot to see it evolve and grow.
Lipa has a really good case. She's filing for copyright infringement and false endorsement under the Trademark Act, because if you deceive or mistake or confuse consumers as to the affiliation, sponsorship, or endorsement of a good or service from an individual, and you don't have that person's consent, they can sue you under U.S. law, which is what happened here. Samsung was not responding to cease and desist letters. Dua has a copyright registration in the image. It belongs to her. It's from an Austin City Limits show, so she's established that. And she's also established that she has a strong brand. People do buy just based on the association with her name. There's anecdotal evidence they put in the complaint that people bought televisions just because her face was on the box. They hadn't intended to buy televisions, and then they saw Dua Lipa and they bought the TVs. Samsung says they relied on a content partner who gave them explicit assurance that the image was cleared for use, but that wasn't the case. And importantly, they didn't deny the infringement so much as they transferred blame onto a third party. And so they'll probably have to pay out in a settlement, probably not the full $15 million, but for $1 trillion company like Samsung, it's a relative price to pay, maybe $3, $5, $7 million, depending on the amount of goods that have been sold with this image on the box. And it's an important reminder that if you use a likeness or image of a celebrity to sell a commercial product or service, that you do it with a risk that person might want to file a suit for infringement. Can't use a likeness of somebody for a commercial end without their consent or without licensing. Your mind is your property. File for more.